Hi.
What's up?
How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
Nice to see you. We were just before we turned the microphones on having a conversation about how we haven't had Pepsi in a while.
Yep. But we love Diet Coke, Coke Zero.
I'm a Coke Zero, you're a Diet Coke,
Coke
and I think that's the end of the interview.
So good to see you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
you know
for
what?
having me.
Congrats on the film. Not sure what it's about, but I know your soda preferences. No, can we talk about some of these conversations you had with the director, Trey Edward Schultz? They went on for 6 months. What were you guys talking about?
Yeah, so originally Trey had came to me with this idea. He was like, well, I don't have the script yet, but there are two parts. There's the brother in the first half, that's a wrestler, and there's the boyfriend in the second half. And he was like, which part do you want? And I was like, that's not a lot of information, but I want the more challenging part. So he was like, because you couldn't chop wood in my first movie, then you probably won't be the wrestler.
Hold on, you couldn't chop wood in the first movie?
Oh, no. I could barely lift an axe. I was like 90 pounds, and I was not athletic at all. I could barely walk straight.
So he says to you, hey, you if you can't chop wood in my first movie, there's no way you're going to be able to wrestle.
Yeah.
You did it. You wrestled in this movie.
Yeah, I did a lot of training for it, but it was a lot. But he said that I could have that part, and so he would tailor the role for me. So for those 6 months, it was just having conversations about our romantic relationships at 17, 18, and our relationship with our father and our mother and my sisters, and just what that felt like and what the pressures of just trying to be great at a young age meant to us, and just trying to Dude, my stomach is making a lot of noise.
Is that your stomach right there?
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a vibrating cell phone.
Oh, no. It's my stomach saying,
You need like a muffin or something.
yeah.
Or a nice Pepsi.
A muffin sounds really good.
Yeah, can we get a muffin for our friend? Anyway, please continue on. So you guys were talking about these things, right?
We were talking about all these things, and we just saw a lot of parallels between our two lives, and it just made sense. It just started to make sense that this boy existed in both of us, and we needed to tell this story.
So I want to give people a clearer idea of what we're talking about here. This is some of the trailer for the film Waves. Take a listen to this.
All we have is now.
That's a clip from the trailer for the new film Waves, featuring my guest Kelvin Harrison Jr. He plays Tyler in the film. We also heard at the beginning of the clip Tyler's dad, Ronald, played by Sterling K. Brown, who you might know from the TV series This Is Us. Tell us a little bit about this relationship between you guys, because a lot of the film is about the relationship between Tyler and his father, and what I've seen you describe in other interviews as the toxic masculinity present between the two. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so Trey and I just talked a lot about, how, growing up, I think there's so much pressure on also just being great, but also in what it means to be a man. And that sometimes it's like, well, we don't need to be vulnerable. You need to just kind of keep pushing forward. You need to represent the house and provide for your family, and you need to be prepared for all the obstacles that come up ahead of us. So I think sometimes it was Ronald's not creating a space for Tyler to express his fears, and I think Ronald, parent out of fear a lot of the time. So it projects that onto Tyler. So he's fearful of disappointing his dad. He's fearful of disappointing himself. He's fearful of disappointing his girlfriend. And he's living this experience constantly being reactive instead of actually like internalizing and opening up what's going on inside him to share that with other people. So it is this like extreme bravado and just real wrestler vibes.
Yeah, and what the father says in the film, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything, is interesting to me, because what he says to your character is, do you understand how hard I had to work for what you have right now? And not just that, but like, do you understand how much I would have loved to have the opportunities that you have right now?
Mm-hmm.
And that puts such a tremendous expectation on somebody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, it was that conversation Ronald has with Tyler was a conversation my dad had with me. He came into my room and he told me the exact same thing.
Is that so?
Yeah, I mean, even down to like my dad talks about the story of how my grandfather, he was one of the first black people to own a cab company in New Orleans, but he never drove my dad around. He made him to carry a saxophone from, he says Toulouse Street to the Marigny to to the East Bank, and he was like, I was just 12. And so he was like, you don't understand like what it's like. I literally have done so much for you. We've sacrificed so much for you to have the space and have the privileges that you have. Do you know what that means? But at the same time, for a kid, it's like, you did that so I can be a kid, not so that I can suddenly become you again. Yeah. And I think it's just really conflicting arguments to kind of put into a 17-year-old's brain. It's like, what do you expect from me? Am I supposed to be grateful because you've given me things, or am I supposed to be grateful because you've provided a space for me to exist and have an identity of my own? I don't know what to do with that. And so we really wanted to kind of explore all of that.
Your dad was a jazz musician, right?
Yeah.
Is your dad still with us, by the way?
Yeah.
Has he seen the film?
He did see the film a couple weeks ago.
So your father, who's this great jazz musician, what's his name, by the way?
Kelvin.
Kelvin Sr.?
Yeah, I'm a junior.
Okay, cool. So I think I might have said that. But you never know, the grandfather or something like that, right? Thank you very much. So Explain this to me then. How do you feel sitting in the movie theater? Your dad's there. You know your dad's watching it, and he's seeing a conversation that he had with you on the screen.
I didn't get to watch it with him, but he called us afterwards, and he was like, "That's not me." Even my grandfather's name is using it, Three Papa, and like that is literally what we call my grandfather, Three Papa, in the movie. So I was like, this definitely is going to be triggering for you. And he was like, that's just not me, and that's just not what happened. And I was like, you literally said that. So it's interesting, but at the same time, I think what the movie tells us is a lot. We're all in process, and growth happens in time, and we have to be patient and allow ourselves to kind of get there when everyone's ready to get there, and it's okay to get there when you do get there. So my dad and I are having an open dialogue now about some of the traumas or whatever went on in our past, the beauty of it all, and just how do we move past it and nurture the connection and relationship we have now. So it's been nice.
What a gift it must be to be able to act, like to have a film that affords you to have these kind of conversations with your dad, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it never happens.
Yeah.
So it's been really beautiful.
I should point, in addition to like the generational issues and the generational conversations that happen in this film, there's also a generational look at what it means to be black in America and how, as a black person, you should behave. Tyler's dad, Ronald, your character's dad, Ronald, even says at one point, we, meaning black folks, are not afforded the luxury of being average. How did that line resonate with you?
I mean, look, once again, that was something else my dad told me. I think, he works so hard. I mean, he studied with I don't know if you know the Marsalis family, but
Wynton Marsalis, Branford Marsalis.
Yeah. So Ellis taught him in school. And
Ellis Marsalis, Wynton's father.
Yes. Yep. And Wynton and all of those guys, they grew up together, and just the mindset and the work ethic that they have was always just like, we have to be the best. We have to be the best. I mean, my dad also grew up with Harry Connick Jr. Harry Connick Jr. was in my dad's band growing up, but Harry Connick Jr. was a big star. My dad works at a school. It's just, it's not the same thing. And it's like, I think you can come up with the same amount of talent. You can come up with the same gifts. You can have the same work ethic, but the opportunities don't present themselves the same. So he kind of really pushed in me, as Ronald is doing to him, is that at the end of the day, we're in a country in America where we were beaten down before we were even celebrated. And you have to understand that, you didn't have the upper hand. What do you do in that situation? You have to grind. The problem with that is it's all about balance and all about understanding, does that actually benefit the kid at the end of the day? But this was just like the ongoing conversations in black homes constantly trying to get us to not become a statistic.
Right. And again, this is something that you get to explore and something you get to live through and something you get to sort of process while making this film, as opposed to being in a movie about, horses or something like that.
Yeah.
This gets to be about something a little bit more close to you.
I would love a horse film too, though.
You know what? If you're listening to this right now and you got a horse film in development, give us a call.
Give us a call.
For God's sake, give me a break. I want to do something about horses.
Please.
If you're just tuning in. I'm talking to Kelvin Harrison Jr. He stars in the new film Waves. He was also in the recent film Loose and in the 2017 horror film It Comes at Night. Getting a lot of buzz this year with many roles. A little bit off topic. What's the significance of mint tea?
Oh, how do you know I like mint tea? I love mint tea. I don't know. I just think it's tasty. I think when I started It Comes at Night, it was the only thing that would calm me down enough so I can do a scene. So I would drink mint tea every morning, and it would make me feel like relaxed and present and awake. And then I was like, I can act my best acting with Joel Edgerton if I drink mint tea. If not, then the scene's dead.
Because I can't believe how much we're talking about beverages in this interview today, by the way. What I had heard is you would find yourself very intimidated by these actors, and you'd go in and you'd be like, oh my God, that's so-and-so and that's so-and-so. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And somehow the mint tea would be the thing that would chill you out.
That's so true. Did I say that
Yeah,
once?
yeah, I read that.
Wow. Never heard that one brought back before, but this is true. A mint tea can save a day.
I'm surprised to hear someone like you in the I guess the reason it's meaningful to me is not because I have my love of mint tea, but it's that someone in a position like yours could find themselves being a bit shy and being a bit intimidated by people around them.
Absolutely. I think I'm constantly just shocked that I'm even in the room. I mean, I grew up in New Orleans, and so I used to see like the movie trailers outside of in the city when I would go to school, and I would just be like, who's in there? And like, you just get lucky. When I started acting, I was like, okay, if I get a day player role, that's going to be sick. But now I'm like in the movie. Like I'm in the movie. I'm really in there like swimwear, and I'm just like, what the heck, And Sterling's there, and Joel Edgerton's there, and Jennifer Hudson's there, and I'm blown away and just really grateful for the whole process.
I read another quote of yours. You said, "I'm not acting just to act. I want something too." What do you mean by that?
I mean, I'm constantly, every time I'm looking for a role, I'm looking for something that challenges me and just kind of expands my understanding of what life looks like and what the world looks like. And if I'm not growing, then I don't think anyone else is going to grow. So, you know, I'm just looking to be challenged ultimately.
You know, you were talking about your dad a little bit a while ago and the expectations that he put on you as a musician and as a young black man in America. I could only imagine he must be pretty proud of you at this point, though, hey?
I think so. I mean, he still wants me to practice. He's like,
What do you play?
I play piano and trumpet, and so he sent my trumpets out, and he really wants me to use them, and I'm just like, no thanks.
Well, I heard there's this scene in the film Waves where you and Sterling K. Brown, who plays your father, are lifting weights in the nighttime, kind of like aggressively, sort of against one another, you know, and he's sort of encouraging you. And I read something that like that's how it used to be with your dad too, right? You guys would practice together in the nighttime.
Yeah, exactly. We would go in. We had like a pool room, and he would go in there because I had good acoustics, and he would practice his saxophone, and I would practice my trumpet, and I would do long tones. He would do long tones, and you know, we would do scales. We would, you know, I would also have to like learn a solo. So if it was like Kinda Blue or Freddie the Freeloader, and like, well, we'll learn Miles Davis's solo and then play it for me tonight, and let's see how it goes. And so that would be like it'd be constant test and task to do, and it was fun. It was a good memory, but you know, also just a lot.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So I'll close off like this because we've kind of talked a little bit about how your role here intersects with yourself, obviously not in every single way, but in a lot of different ways. And you said, I always like to find a little bit about myself in the roles and what I'm going to learn as a person. So what did you learn about yourself in making this film?
I just learned how much more I need to pay attention to me and making sure I'm taking care of Kelvin. I think that this movie taught me a lot about self-care and how important it is and how important it is for you to learn to love yourself. And I think sometimes we get caught up in trying to put out an image of ourselves that is acceptable, that is pleasing to all. And I think I've learned to, you know, I want to please my father, I want to please my mother, I want to please my sisters, I want to please my teachers, I want to please everyone on social media that has an idea of who I am. But it doesn't matter if I'm not good, and ultimately I'm not spreading any light or doing any good to the world if I'm not good with myself. So I got a therapist, and you know, I go to breath work classes, and I just do a lot of self work because I just think it's just so important.
It's incredibly important. You know, next time you come, we're gonna have a Pepsi for you, but you should play piano next time you come in.
We can jam.
Do
you play?
Yeah, I play like those things, the guitars there.
Oh, sick! Those things.
Yeah.
I play the thing with the keys and the black lines.
You know, and I play the things with the strings and the sick. So together we'll be able to
do some stuff.
Well, we'll do something or other. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in.
You too, man. Thanks for having me.